Welcome to day 3 of Hindu Women's Festival. I am Pallika. I am a fashion consultant and writer. So my poetry name is Words by P. I'll be guiding you today through some writing, and we're going to start with a sonnet. So if you have any questions along the way, please drop them in the chat and I'll keep an eye out, and I'll try and keep answering them as we go along. So I think I'll just get right straight into it. So I'm hoping like everyone's joined and everyone's ready. I'll just give it until exactly 5 o'clock maybe, in case more people are joining. So yeah, today we are going to write a sonnet, which is a 14-line piece of poetry. I'm all about perspective, and as much as I feel like I see situations from different perspectives, sometimes I don't. So I want to practice that more, and I think if we all start to see things from another's point of view, we would act and think differently and see things more positively. So in the theme of Hindu femininity, I'd love to see more open and free senses of purpose in Hindu women, and that's kind of something that we will explore today. So whether you're female or whether you're male, you can write along. We'll be writing in sonnet structure, as I mentioned before. So a sonnet is a 14-line piece of writing. So the first 8 lines, they present an argument and they present the story, so to speak. So the following 6 lines, the last 6 lines, they present a twist in the narrative or an opposition to the actual the first 8 lines, basically. So we're going to be writing in 2 different perspectives today. I'll be prompting each line, so I'll ask a question, and for each line you'll have 2 minutes to write along. I want you to just write whatever comes to mind. I don't want you to feel like you're blocking yourself. Just write the first thing that comes to mind. There's no right, there's no wrong. Just don't even worry about rhyming, because I know it's sort of poetry form, but you do not have to rhyme. And just remember there's no right or wrong things. Try and be open-minded and free with it. So I'm going to sort of set the tone for the writing. I want you to think about a time that you felt confident, empowered. I want you to think about when you felt beautiful. And I want you to think about a time you felt that way at a Hindu gathering. So you could have been at a puja, you could be at a dinner with family, you could have been at a wedding. And think about how confident you felt, how empowered, how beautiful you were feeling at that time. It would be very interesting if our male writers who are joining along imagined a woman in their life. So it could be your mother, your sister, your aunt, wife, however you want to see it. And you could even try and write as if you are imagining them. If not, think about a time you felt confident, empowered, and handsome. So in this setting, whether you're at puja, whether you're at a wedding, a dinner, I want you to think of an inanimate object. So you could be thinking of a sari, it could be bangles, a mirror. Think about the room you're in. You could literally think about the entire room as a whole thing. A table, a glass of water. I'm just throwing out some ideas. So think of an inanimate object. And for the first 8 lines of our sonnet, we're going to write as if we were the object. So our mind is now becoming the mirror, for example, if we are thinking of a mirror. If this doesn't make sense, please do say in the comments and I'll try and like reiterate what I mean. So we're thinking of an inanimate object in this setting where we feel empowered at a Hindu gathering. So the first 8 lines I'm going to prompt. I'm going to set a timer on my phone for 2 minutes, and I'm going to give you 2 minutes to write each line. Like I said before, don't worry about trying to like get everything down. And if you're not happy with something in the moment and we've moved on to the next line, you can go back later and edit it. So don't worry about it not being perfect, because there's no such thing as perfect. And we're trying to just get some words out and get some perspective down. So the first line, I want you to say what you are without saying what you are. So think about how you are worn if you are a wearable object, or think about what you do without actually naming the object. So the first line is say what you are without saying what you are. And I'm gonna set a timer of 2 minutes. I'm gonna try and stop it before that horrible sound goes off. But if I don't, my apologies. So I'm gonna try and write along with you guys as well. So we'll see what I come up with. So say what you are without saying what you are. Try and be descriptive if you can, but don't worry too much as well about being too literal. Say what comes to mind. So we're not saying what we are at this time, but we will reveal that later on. We've got about a minute left on this line. About 30 seconds left, and then we'll move on to line 2. Okay, so line 2, I want you to say what you are made of or made with. If you are a glass, you are a glass. I think a poem that I did very similar to this a while ago, I wrote as if I was a mirror. And you can be very literal with this, or you can be a little bit metaphorical. So the line that I remember I wrote for a mirror was, I am made of glass and expectations. So you can take this wherever it takes you, wherever your mind takes you, just begin to write. So I'm going to start your 2 minutes now. What are you made of? What are you made with? You can think about the material you're made with. You can think about what people expect from you, your use. You've got about a minute left on this line. So what are you made of? What are you made with? About 30 seconds left. Okay, so the third line, what can you see? So this could be the surroundings that you're in. It could be you. It could be the other people. It could be, you know, so another object. Like, what can you see? So again, like, you can be very literal with this, or you can be a bit more metaphorical and a bit more artsy with it, if you like. So what can you see? I'm gonna start your timer now, 2 minutes. You can also talk about you directly. So obviously this object is, we're thinking about you when you're empowered. So what can they see in terms of you? Think about that. About a minute left. Oh, sorry, 30 seconds. Wasn't keeping a good eye on that timer then. About 10 seconds left on this line. Okay, so for line 4, I want you to think about what the atmosphere is like. So what is the atmosphere like? We're writing about the time you felt confident, empowered. Think about that. You can speak about the atmosphere and also what you were feeling. So what's the object seeing that you are feeling? If you're a mirror, you could say, the room is bright and airy, and my onlooker has a glimmer beneath her eyes, for example. So what is the atmosphere like? You've got 2 minutes and it's started now. Try and be descriptive if you can. Got just under a minute left. Got 30 seconds. This time might be too long for you guys, but just in case. Okay, so line 5, in relation to what you can see, What is your purpose? So think about your function to the surroundings or to the person, so yourself, or if you're talking on behalf of someone else, think about your relation to them. So what is your purpose in relation to what you can see? So 2 minutes starting now. Your purpose, it does, again, you don't need to be literal, but if you want to be, then that's fine too. Think about what kind of feelings you evoke in this person. It might be comfort, it might be happiness. Just try and be a bit more descriptive if you can. So we've got about 40 seconds left. So moving on to line 6. If you could teach the person one thing, what would you teach them? So as the object, what are you capable of teaching your person? So your 2 minutes starts now. My page is a mess because I've been scribbling stuff out as I've been writing. We've got about a minute left on this one. So if you could teach the person one thing, what would you teach them? We've got 30 seconds left on this one. Okay, so line 7. How long will you be here for? As the object, how long will you be here for? 2 minutes starting now. You can think about the duration of the event, but maybe you'll be there for longer, depending on what your gathering was based on. And you can also think about why you'll be there for that length of time and incorporate that into your sentence. So we have a minute left on this one. How long will you be here for? So the next time we'll be finishing off our first half. So we've got 30 seconds left. How long will you be here for? Okay, so up until now, we haven't actually said what we are. So we started with say what you are without saying what you are. And in this last line, line 8 of the first half of the sonnet, we're going to introduce the object. So what are you is line 8. You can be very literal with this and you can just say what it is. So if you're a mirror, you can literally say a mirror or mirror, however you want. Alternatively, you could also try and just weave it into a sentence. So it might flow into it. So try and reveal what you are. So you've got 2 minutes starting now. What are you? Introduce the object. About a minute left. About 30 seconds left now. So rounding off, what are you? Okay, so we finished the first 8 lines of our sonnet. So that was in the perspective of this inanimate object that we imagined. So now we've come to the last 6 lines. We have our twist in the narrative. And our twist is that we are now writing as ourselves, or the women that you're writing as if you were them. So think about you, your feelings now. This is not the object anymore. So I want you to do line 9, which is what are you feeling? So obviously we already know we're thinking of a time we were confident, empowered, but in the moment when you're thinking about this object, what are you feeling? So you've got 2 minutes starting now. By all means, you can use the words confident, empowered, use whatever comes to mind, whatever you are feeling. Also, don't worry about your lines being too long. If you literally just have one word that you want to say, by all means, that can be your line. Remember, there's no right or wrong things to write. Got about a minute left. What are you feeling? Around 30 seconds now. Okay, so moving on to line 10. We're nearly at the end. So what does the object mean to you? So think about how it helps your feelings of confidence, your feelings of empowerment, the feelings that you've just mentioned in line 9. What does the object mean to you? So you've got 2 minutes starting now. About a minute left. Thirty seconds. Now line 11. So thinking about the object, how will you use it going forward? So thinking about what it is, like maybe it's got very straightforward use. Will you keep it? Will you discard it? Will you get rid of it? Will you pass it on to someone else? How will you use it going forward? You've got 2 minutes starting now. Got about a minute left. How will you use the object going forward? About 30 seconds going now. Line 12. Who introduced you to this object? So it could have been that someone introduced you to the object, or it could have been that you just introduced yourself to it, maybe. So who introduced you to this object? 2 minutes starting now. Think about as well how it was introduced to you. Was it a gift, or was it just something less sort of memorable in that respect? Got just under a minute left. So who introduced you to this object? About 20 seconds left. We've got 2 more lines and then we're finished with this piece. So line 13, so we're going to start to round this off now. Line 13 is, what have you learned from the object? What have you learned from the object? So you've got 2 minutes now. Just over a minute. What have you learned from the object? What has it taught you? Got about 30 seconds left now. 10 seconds. So moving on to the final line. How will you apply the lesson that you have learned from the object? How will you continue that lesson going forward? So you've got 2 minutes. Then at the end, it would be great if anyone would like to share their writing. So how will you apply the lesson that you have learned? Got 30 seconds left. About 10 seconds. Okay, and we're done with our sonnet. So if anyone wants to share their sonnet in the chat, please do, and I'll read it out. In the meantime, I'm just going to quickly recap the questions, so the line prompts in case you missed any, or if you want to go back and edit your piece. So the first line is, say what you are without saying what you are. The second line is, what are you made of or with? The third line, what can you see? The fourth line, what is the atmosphere like? Line 5, in relation to what you can see, what is your purpose? Line 6, if you could teach the person one thing, what would you teach them? Line 7, how long will you be here for? Line 8, introduce the object. What are you? So line 9, this is the twist in the narrative. What are you feeling? Line 10, what does the object mean to you? Line 11, how will you use it going forward? Line 12, who introduced you to this object? Line 13, what have you learned from it? And line 14, how will you apply the lesson you have learned? So I'm going to read you mine just so you can hear it and see if you can guess what it is before I actually say. So, I am mesh decorated with beads and beauty, made of cotton mixed with silk and strong workmanship. I see a field filled with seats to one side and lingering people. The atmosphere is filled with anticipation, and my wearer strides assured. Wrapped firmly around her waist, draped delicately over her shoulder, teaching her to hold herself together and stand tall, be a vision. I'll carry her until night falls and she tires, undoing my pleats and unraveling my fall. She neatly folds me away, her favorite sari. I am happy. I feel full and energized. I never feel more beautiful than dressed up in this sari. I don't care about repeat wears. This sari will meet light again. A gift from my mother, a gift she probably couldn't afford. It has taught me true value of something so mesmerizing, something attained through love. A lesson of a mindset I'll apply to all my belongings, a lesson of appreciation. So that was mine. Thank you for listening. I've got one more to do with you guys. So the next exercise, it's a very quick one, so don't worry about the long 2-minute intervals. So we're going to write a list poem. So it's a kind of like a quick fire round. It's almost like word association. So I'm going to say a word, and for each word, I want you to write a line that comes to mind, a sentence. Your sentence, again, can just be one word long. It can be more. It's up to you. You can include the word if it makes sense, but you do not have to use the word that I give you. I'd like you to think about empowerment again for your sentences. Think about this sense of empowerment, this feeling of confidence, and have that in mind. So for each prompt, write a sentence that has the sense of empowerment, and I'll give you about 20 to 30 seconds per word. So the first word, we're going to get straight into it. So have your pens ready, and I'm going to just give you 25 seconds. I think that should be enough. So the first word is bindi. So I've started the timer. So you write one line, anything that comes to mind. Bindi is the first word. The second word is body. Ten seconds. The next word is mendi or henna, whichever you prefer. The next word, or there's two words, hair oil. Hair oil. Got 20 seconds left. So the next word is glass or glass if you are in south of England. I am northern. So you've got 25 seconds for glass or glass. So you're writing whatever comes to mind. It could be a word, it could be a line, a few words. So the next line is plant. These feel quite random, but you'll find that when you read it together, it almost somehow makes sense. About 10 seconds. That was plant or plant. The next word is diya, which is an oil lamp. So diya. Just 5 seconds. So the next word is taste. Ten seconds. We've got 2 more. The next word is hand. Ten seconds. And the final word is dupatta or chunni, whichever one you prefer, or scarf. Ten seconds, so chunni. And that's it, time's up. If anyone has time, I know that if you're writing, I don't know how you're going to type it into the chat, but if you do have time, please send it through. So the words were bindi, body, mendi, hair oil, glass, plant, diya, taste, hand, and dupatta. So mine is a center of focus. I hold you whole. Decorate my skin, massage my temples, never empty. I give life, burning brightly and gently, a flavor that's intense. Trace my heart with your fingers, comfort me with your integrity. And that's my list poem. So that's it. That's all I have for you guys today. But thank you so much for joining. I really appreciate it. And I hope to read and hear your poems soon. So thanks again.